Hi guys, Natalie back again. We're here to talk about Man United women. It's been a while, only one United. Back with some great guests as always, just talking the key topics. Just going to go around the table, introduce everyone. Rich, thanks for coming
Hi,
on.
Nat. No worries, mate. You good?
I'm good, I'm good. Mia, thanks for coming on. Seeing you guys in the comments as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me as usual.
No worries. And Namrata, big up, India, people chatting. Go
Yeah,
on.
good to be here. Midnight podcasts are back.
Midnight Reds, let's go. No, I just want to get into it, I don't even want to stop pleasantries, talk about anything. I just want to talk about Man United signings. I think people said, let's not talk. Well, we don't know that they're confirmed, but they're confirmed now. So it's Maya Letizier, beautiful. Lucia Garcia, Nikita Paris, Tukara, that's a two. It's gone out of my head who it was. Who else came in?
Paris, Rachel Williams.
Rachel Williams, that was the one. And Adriana Leon. And then that was it. I might have forgot some of them, already. Vic, Lanzell, Steele. I do agree, Steele. But I just want to know, Rich, you're the guy, you said to me on this show or on a show, whatever, they think it's good signings, they think it's an upgrade. Oh, Grace Clinton, that's another one. For me, some of them look like an upgrade, some of them, yeah. Some of them look like a downgrade. Well, when obviously they told you they're all upgrades and it's going to strengthen, and then you see the list, what do you think?
I think overall it's a good window. I think they've added quality in people international quality in people like Lucia, Tunkara, Adriana Leon. I think they've added two of the best young players from the WSL as well in Maya and Grace. People know that I've raved about Grace for a number of years, and I think Maya's probably the next one along in terms of England. That's probably closest now to the squad. And Keats and Rach are obviously very experienced. I think Keats will have more of an impact than Rach. I think Rach is there more as sort of a trusted relationship with the manager, someone to guide the young players. I don't think you'll see her play, in like the bigger games. I think with Keats, I think Keats is more than capable of having an impact if she's confident. I've watched her for many, many, many years, and I've seen the good and the bad. And I just think with Arsenal, it didn't work out. It's a risk. There is a risk, especially when you're paying a fee because she's not had a great year. But I think there's potential there. But I think the rest of it's really good. I think Leon will surprise people. I said that. I think she's had a decent start in pre-season as well, from what I've heard. And Lucia Garcia is a great signing, to sign someone that's starting for Spain. Tunkara was keeping Mbok out of the France team. And I think Maya and Grace will probably be the best two long term because they could be there for 5-10 years if United get to where they want to be. So is it enough? Because obviously the top three are all strengthening as well, and they're already in a better position. That's the big question. But I think on the face of it, I think what United have and where they're at, I think it's not a amazingly fantastic, brilliant window, but I think it's a very good window for where they're at.
Mm-hmm. Is it enough? That is the question. I just want to I will come to you, Mia. I just want to come to Namrata because I suppose we come at it from a different angle than these two. It matters. Not as it doesn't matter to them two, but I just think it does really matter, especially when we look at, Jackie, Leslie, Honor. These are the key players, and you're adding to that, but you want them to stay. And I think we know that we need now Champions League. There's no kind of, I don't care how you play. We need Champions League kind of thing. That's where we're at, as Reds. When you look at that window and the way they sort of, this is what it's going to be, and the way they're hyping it. What do you think?
Yeah, but I think we've been in this situation for about 2 seasons now. Couple of seasons back, missed out in Champions League by 1 point. Last year was 5 points. So every time we get close to the top 3, we think, okay, let's go all out in the summer transfer window, dress for the job that you want. So get the players that are not just going to get you into Champions League, but will help you stay there. So I think some of them are really good signings. I think MLT is definitely my favorite signing. And, we've talked to so many players in the past 3 years, and finally one of them joins and does not go to Chelsea, City or Arsenal. So that's I think she's been really amazing in pre-season as well. I think Lucia Garcia, we didn't see a lot of her during the Euros, but I think having watched a bit of her since we've been linked with her, I think she'll be a quality player. She's played at striker for a few minutes in both the matches, and I don't think that's her position. She's probably either on the left wing or the right wing, so we'll have to see where Mark plays her. Haven't watched Tunkara play that much, so I'm not really sure, what kind of player she is. I was really excited that when we got Leon, because I think we need that kind of steel in our forwards, and she's like a really good backup striker for us. For the rest of them, Grace Clinton, I think she's also close. I think she's my second favorite signing. I think what little we saw of her in the first match against PSG, she was like a firecracker. So I think the good thing is that with her coming in, and if she's able to kind of step it up from the get-go, that just means that Tooney has a sub. We don't have to play her in every match and every minute, which is good for England as well, I guess. And I'm not really convinced about the rest of the signings. I think having spent transfer fee on Paris, especially when we hear stuff like, we have around 5th or 6th best budget in WSL, and then to spend it on players who, did not have such a great season for Arsenal, who are, I think, a much better side than us, at least on paper. So it's a little bit concerning. We don't really know what Rachel Williams' role is yet, so we'll find out. I think maybe she's like in a coaching and player coach kind of role, so we'll see. I think I would say if we manage to sign or give a new contract to either of Jackie Russo or Ona, that would be like an 8 out of 10 window for me.
They're the 3. They're the key. That's everything. I think for Reds, those players, tying them down, even if it's just a 2-year for any one of them. That's what we're holding our hope on.
I think Russo will sign. I think Russo will definitely sign.
We'll come back to these questions. Richard is going to get it. And I'll ask Mia. But Mia, just looking at that, you always come with the positive, Mia, and then you'll say, Man United. And I'll say, Mia, I've done this dance before. Yeah, you're getting excited. Get excited when we're there. What do you think any of these players have got it? Because for me, when we don't make it, it's not about they're not good enough. It's about up there in the head. It's about the mentality. It's about knowing how to win. And I look at, does Lucia know how to win? Yes, Spain are a good side, but they lost. Bilbao, they've not really won much. Paris won years ago. Williams, what she won, nothing. Like we're talking about Maya and Grace being the best ones, but then they're babies again. So they're going to learn that winning mentality. I spoke to someone about Sina Brunn, and I thought, yeah, even though it didn't work out, I thought they would go for her, What's your view on our window so far?
Right now, I think that it's going to be a tasty battle between the 2 Manchester teams. That's my. I don't think that necessarily Manchester City has done better signings this window, because they have. I mean, when obviously it's just preseason for them as well, even though they played the Champions League the other night. versus Real Madrid. But I don't think when I watch like Manchester United play PSG, I don't think that Manchester City and Manchester United will be too far apart this season. So I think it's going to be exciting in that way. I do think, like Rich, that Nikita Paris will probably, if she comes into a team where she's needed, wanted, that's when she can make a difference. So I do think I have high hopes for her in Manchester United and for Manchester United, I must say. I do think that you probably underestimate Adriana Leon a little bit, because I do think that she can provide what you want, winning mentality. She's an Olympic gold medalist and she plays for Canada, and that team it's a good national team to come in and out from when you play club football. So that's what I think. I don't think you should be too negative.
You know, people just saying they're reacting to me. Wanted. No, but listen, the pressure's there. The pressure's always there. People are excited. Our defence looks good. I mean, you could say that was some of the issues. Now it looks like midfield is the issue, and I do agree with that comment. We'll get back to it. Rich, I know you just dropped out there, but Mia has just said City look like the one, and I just put on business. I've lost my crib sheet, but you know they have lost a lot of players. Bronze. I mean, Jill Scott left. Ellen White's just left now. Stanway's gone, big player for them. Talk of Walsh going. Obviously, they won't want that, but yeah. And then obviously Caroline Way, that's the one, and she scored against them. And then obviously they brought in, and I think Alexandre is very good. I think she's very good. But I think the Leia, I can't say her name, but the one from Barcelona, I don't think she's that good. And I feel like people are writing about her like she's going to be the second coming. And I think she will be the one. I feel like if I was a WSL manager, I'd be taking advantage of her running down that wing. I feel like when, you know, we saw it with Real Madrid against Barcelona when Athena ran at her, it was...
Can I just say something about this? The reason is because of the fact that Gareth Taylor still looks to not play Filippa Angeldal, who is one of, I think she's like, he's doing a big mistake by not playing her. So
what I will say, Mia, at least they've got that talent there to not play. You know, I look then at our bench, we've got Stanny. I mean, we're talking about midfield, Stanny. Who else? You know, I don't even know. You know, we're talking about Rachel Williams, Paris. They've got Angadal, Fowler, this, that, and they doesn't play them. And we're relying on him not being able to see the talent in front of his eyes rather than the talent. You know, Rich, what would you say when we're talking about this? Because for me, Gareth Taylor isn't good enough. But I also question, is Mark Skinner good enough?
What's your question? What do you want to answer first?
Just speak. That's what I want you to do. I want you to speak. I want you to say your point. There's no question. This is not a question and answer. This is a round table.
I think with City, the one thing they're quite good at is they're quite good at succession planning. I think they knew Bronze was going. I think they knew Weir was going. I think they knew Stanway was going because we saw very early the rumours of Alexandre, of Owabi, of Castellanos, and they were essentially the replacements. Mary Fowler as well was done very, very early. They're all very good players. They all have a lot of experience. I think Kasparai as well is a good young player. So I think with City, it's how quickly do they gel, because it's probably the biggest turnover they've had. And I said this to Gareth last week at his press conference, that possibly the biggest change in terms of a movement away from British players, and obviously they still have a lot. You know, they have Kelly and Hemp and Walsh and Greenwood, Stokes, Roebuck, Horton, etc. But in terms of the recruitment, apart from Sandy McKeever, everyone else has been a foreign signing, which we haven't seen a huge amount of from City. So they're an interesting one because they tend to start slow and then they really hit the ground running. The last 2 seasons, Gareth's been there. I mean, the second half of the season, some of their performances, you know, I watched them last year, the Conti Cup final. I've not seen a team in England take it to Chelsea like they did in that game. I was at LSV in the Cup when they beat Man United 4-1, and on their day, they're unstoppable, but they have too many off days to really go and win the league. I think they've got as much talent as anyone. I think Arsenal haven't done much yet, obviously. I think they're still looking to, but I think they've got a good starting point because they've got Miedemar and Blackstenius and Beth Mead and Leah Williamson, etc., Jordan Nobbs, Steph Catley, and Chelsea are obviously Chelsea. You know, I don't expect Chelsea to go anywhere. So for United, the big question mark is, have they done enough? You know, because they're doing good business, but so are the teams above them, and the teams above them have got a better starting point because they've been doing it longer. The Champions League, you know, they've been the top 3 for the last 5-6 years, and it's hard to shift that. So what United have to do is start well. They have to start well. If you start well, you build momentum, you win games, you gain confidence, and that carries through the season. If you don't start well, it's really, it's still a very short season with WSL, and you've seen that with City. If you don't start well, you don't catch up. It doesn't matter what you do in the second half of the season. So I think that's the biggest thing for United is they have to hit the ground running, because the teams that hit the ground running, they're the ones that have the success.
I just want to come to you, Nam, just on what Rich said about the whole not even start well, but just we talked about Arsenal and how they've not really added. So if we've caught up, you should be able to look at both them squads now. You know, if like what Rich said earlier, they feel like they've done enough. Well, surely ours should be comparable. And I just feel like it's not. I mean, I feel like maybe Arsenal, if they don't get any more, then we will catch up. There'll be another one. You know, I don't know. And Mia, you jump in. What do you think our squad compared to Arsenal's? Because, like you said, they haven't done big business, but you still got, Blackstenius, Catley, Jordan Nobbs, Beth Mead, Leah Williamson.
I think Arsenal is sort of in the same position as Manchester United, because now it's time to win something again. So I'm with Rich there, that it's important for every top team to start well, to just tell the other teams that we're here this season as well, and this season we are going to compete for real. So I mean, obviously Arsenal has brought in a Swedish player now, Lina Hurtig. But it's like Arsenal have the same problem or challenge as Chelsea with the midfield. But obviously that's not a problem in the WSL because not many teams in the WSL play with the midfield. So also that is a question. I don't think that Manchester United fans you don't need to get like stuck on that question, because just look at the other teams. They don't do midfield play the way that if you look at the Champions League teams, how they use their midfield. Like there is no Lena Oberdorf in the WSL. I mean, we can actually agree on that. There's no Lena Oberdorf in the WSL, and maybe it's about the style of play. I don't know, but I do think that Arsenal will have to prove themselves this season, and Jonas Eidevall will have a big job ahead of him also, because it's time for Arsenal to get those silverwares.
You said something there. It's time for Man United too. And I, to be honest, I don't even care if Man United win a trophy. Obviously, it'd be nice. But I'm just more top three. I mean, I'm not sure what Nam thinks, and I'm not sure what Nam thinks just about. Do you see us as like what Mia says, comparable to Arsenal, or do you think no, they're far ahead, and it's only really thingy that we're going to catch City?
I mean, we can afford for one of our best midfielders in Haley Ladd to be our fifth choice centre back. So, I mean, obviously, we should be doing fine. But I don't know. I think midfield is that one position where, apart from Grace Clinton, we haven't really signed anyone. And Grace is 19 years old, so she'll take time to get used to it. And during preseason as well, right? We saw against Bayern, who have a proper midfield. You know, it wasn't. We were like very, very outplayed in that game, and I kind of agree that we don't have that kind of midfield in WSL, but you know, we do have good midfielders as well. We don't have Oberdorf, but we have Kiera Walsh, and you know, I don't think that City's midfield also is that good. I think there are a lot of holes there.
Based on the rumors, you have Kiera Walsh now.
Yeah,
Don't be
get
too
her
sure.
out. Get her
Don't
out.
be too sure.
We're ready. Get her out.
See, I don't mind. I wouldn't mind. But I think midfield is a bit of a concern for me because, you know, even we haven't changed the midfield, and we saw last season, you know, we really struggled to dominate games against the top three. The first half of the game against Chelsea, the last game against Chelsea last season, we were really good. I think it's that one time where I've seen that United midfield absolutely dominating another top three team. But then second half, you know, I mean, obviously they were fighting for the for WSL, so they had that mentality. I really think that, I mean, obviously there's a huge debate going on about which is our best midfield right now. The way I see it for United, right, 2 midfield spots are locked in. Zelen will always play, Tooney will always play. That means you have like 5 midfielders for one position. And, you know, there's not a lot of rotation usually. We don't know what's going to happen with VBR, with Wildeberg, if she will, what she's thinking now. She's been dropped by Norway. So I think in numbers, we have a good midfield. But if you actually look at the starting 3, I don't think it's different from the last 2 seasons. And, you know, I'm kind of really concerned about that.
I agree. And there's this, TJ's not really asked a question, but he sort of has. Jane Moore did surprisingly well in my eyes versus Bayern. Didn't expect that from her. And maybe it's different with me being there and watching it live. I'm not sure. Did you watch the game, Mia? I'm not sure if you watched it, Rich. Obviously you did now. But if we think that she did well, then I have no words, because I watched that and, you know, yeah, she's not at the top of her game. She's just a squad player. But I still don't understand why you picked her. I think potentially Haley's injured, so I'll allow it, or they're building people up. It's just pre-season. We can't read too much into things. But for me, I have no comment if he thinks that she did well. And if Mark thinks she did well, and like you say, it's pre-season. I just want to come to Rich, I suppose, on that. On what I've said, because he always tells me pre-season, you can't judge anything on pre-season, but then people are telling me she did well, and I'm thinking, I'm watching a different game, mate, then, because I don't know about football. If you think that she did well, I think she was outclassed, like what Mia said. I think our whole midfield was outclassed. There was little bits where we could have scored, and, you know, Leah came on, like you say, when we didn't play the midfield, when we just went for it, there was bits, and I was excited, and even versus Paris, there was times where we were just hanging on. But, you know, we were the worst team in that 4-team tournament. So, you know, Rich, what do you think of Man United's midfield?
I think there's a lot of quality there. I really like Haley Ladd. I said at the time in that summer, I thought she'd be United's best signing of that transfer window. And obviously Vilda and Jackie bring international experience. But I think it's that question mark of balance and how do you find it? Because on paper you can say, okay, well, just put them all in, but you've obviously then got your attacking midfielders, people like Laverty, for example. So for me, I would always start Hayley Ladd. I think you need your defensive midfielder in there, and I think she's one of the best. You're always going to start Laverty, you know, and you have obviously Grace Clinton now as that option. So your question then is, who's your other one? Because there's not enough room to have Jackie and Vilda. The tricky part of that is they both have different qualities. I think Vilda is technically a better footballer. I think Jackie has very different skill set. I think there's a lot of energy there. She's very box to box. She's tenacious. She doesn't offer as much in terms of goals and assists. I don't think she has scored for United yet. And I think assists, maybe it's only a couple. So it's a difficult one. I'm not really sure they've worked that out yet in terms of what works best. I think they probably brought Jade in, obviously, as a little bit of a different option to Hayley. Jade's very tenacious, very much, you know, will get stuck in. It doesn't surprise me if she's a little bit off the pace because she's had a difficult few years with moves that haven't worked out and COVID and injuries and things like that. So, I mean, there's quality there. There's real quality there. You know, all of them are experienced international players at one level or another. I think it's just finding the right balance of what works, and you know, so that's up to Mark and Martin. But there's certainly enough quality there. But again, the question mark is there as much quality to go up against the top three? You know, I think Mia's right. I don't think City's midfield now with Caroline Weir gone is quite the same. Kira Walsh is obviously a top player, and maybe we will see more of Angadal this year. Obviously, they've brought in Dana as sort of the attacking midfielder. Chelsea's midfield, yeah, I think they're still looking for one. So they're not quite the complete picture in midfield, despite the fact they've got a lot of talent. And, you know, Arsenal's hasn't really changed the last couple of years as well. I always say the midfield's the most important part of your team because they protect your defence and they link with your attack. So you have to get your midfield right. You know, how many games do you watch over the years, whether it's men's football, women's football, and games get lost in midfield? So I don't read too much into pre-season. I never have. I just don't see the point. You know, teams are trying things out. They're resting players. They're rotating. You know, you've got kids coming on. You've got squad players coming on. You know, you're making 11 subs a game. It's ridiculous. Like, you know, you were getting excited the other week now because we drew with Man City at Sheffield United, but then we went out the first game of the season and lost to Blackburn. So it really does not matter. It really does not matter what you do. I think they were good tests for United to go there. You know, whether they win or lose. You know, yeah, they beat PSG, but it wasn't the PSG team that you'd see in the season, and it probably wasn't the Man United team you'd see in the season, and exactly the same with Bayern Munich. So it's tests, it's good tests, it's fitness, it's getting minutes in the belt and all those things. So what really matters is when they go and play Tottenham in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, that's my worry. I just want to, I don't know, it's you know, seeing Christians, and I had one in my head, but I forgot about it. But Vix, oh no, I'll come back to it. I want to come to this on Vix. For me, and you're the girl for me on this. Tactics, this, SG, that, this G, 5G. I don't understand it. Zone 15, zone 17. I just want to win, Mia. But from my eye test, I agree with what Vix is saying. And you knew the team. You knew who was starting. You knew the way they were going to play. You knew how to beat certain players. You knew where the weak points were. I feel like now he's added, we have less of that. We should have less of that because he should be rotating a lot more. But he's still going to play the same way. You know what I mean? And is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
I don't think you should read too much into the Bayern Munich game as well, because it's the same. Like when you watch Chelsea play Lyon, they're 2-0 up, and then suddenly they are not when they change. So preseason is about finding like answers to your questions. That's why most players get minutes on the pitch, and then you go back with the information. This is like training dogs. I do this when I train my dogs as well. You send the dog out, you see what they give you, the information they give you, and then you use the information to do better. And this is like, the thing is that Manchester United went to France and play PSG and Bayern Munich. That's good. And the game versus Bayern Munich doesn't say so much. It's good. It's a good preseason game because it's sort of the first time that Manchester United go up against that kind of opponent. But I do think that this is, I mean, obviously, like Rich said, that the midfield is a important part of every team's, like how you play and stuff. I mean, I've been moaning about Chelsea midfield like the last couple of years as well. So it's not that I don't understand, but I do think that as like the preseason, Manchester United had a good preseason going to France. But looking at Vilde Barisa and this like question mark that showed up the other day with the new national team coach telling her that she didn't think that Manchester United was the right way to go. I can agree with that in a way. Because the thing is that the Swedish head coach said, Peter Gerhardsson, he said after the World Cup back in 2019 that he would rather see all of his players signing for Lyon in the national team and get the training environment and stuff like that more than playing the matches. But then 3 years later, in 2022, the year, we've seen the women's game developed in a way that it's not enough to just be in a good team, quality team, and just getting to train with the best. You need to play. I mean, I'm a Swede, and we saw that was the thing with Sweden. Then I take Filippa Angeldal again as an example. Because she was one of our best players in the Olympics in Tokyo 1 year ago. And now she was not, because she has been on the bench for Manchester City all year. She played in Häcken in Sweden before, and she was one of Sweden's best players in the game versus the US. So this is the thing. You can't just bring in a full squad of world-class players and then put them on the bench, because that's what's going to happen with all this international football is going on, because then the players will return to the club teams with nothing to provide. So I do think that's the challenge. This is why I like Kirsty Hansen, for example, because
let's address it.
Yeah, she's a good question. She's a good player. And she doesn't get to play in United.
On right wing before her. Come.
Yeah, obviously I'm not Mark Skinner, so I can't tell you that. But she has been one of Manchester United's best players when it comes to expecting threats and XT passes and sort of stuff like that. So it all comes down. Then you got, like I said before, you have the information. What do you do with it?
Mia, can I just say something? I love you, and I love when you do all this XG, X this, X that. She might be the best at X this, but I'm saying, where's my goals? Where's my assists? And we're talking about Jackie. And Rich says she doesn't do any goals and assists, but I bet you if you look at X whatever, she would come out top. But there has to be a balance as well, though I will say that. But then I see Vilde, and I see she has the most shots when she played. She's doing this. She was influenced. She was creating chances, and then she was dropped. And for me, she was breaking our line. She was, I look at last year versus Spurs when she was in that, purple patch, and Spurs are difficult to break down. Not a lot of teams went and beat Spurs and battered them, and we won 3-0 against Spurs. And I feel like she started that. It was Vilde, and suddenly, I don't even know, Leslie came back, someone came back, or Ronnie came in, and it was just bang, Builder, you're gone, cast out like a thing. So in a way, I agree with Hegarisa. She doesn't look like the player that I saw in January, but I feel like she can be that player. It's just like we're just saying, that Skinner obviously doesn't want to do that, but I think look at our midfielders. Builder's the best one. Builder's got it all. I don't think defensively she might be the best, but I'd play her further up the field. I'd play her as an attacking 8.
But
You know,
that's what
even
I
over
mean.
Jackie and I don't.
You get information. Like a coach get information from watching his players, and then it's up to him or her what he or she does with the information. So that's all up to Mark Skinner to decide. What do the players tell me when they play? How do I want to play football as a coach? And then you use the players you have in your squad to get.
Nam, I just want to bring you in, and I'll bring Rich in because, yeah. Builder, Jackie, we're seeing this thing. Paris been talking for a couple of weeks to Jackie. I think that's true. Obviously, what Hegarisa said, Builder. That's like a. These 2 pieces of information are like bombs that have just come in. You know, yeah, pre-season happened, and now 2 bombs have dropped, and I feel like they both need to play. What you just said, they're not the 2 players that are key. But for me, I'll be Builder over Jackie. And I love Jackie with my heart, but she's not even one of the 2 that you said are always going to play. So for me, I don't understand. So what's your view now? I just want to bring you in on that, then Rich in, and then Mark's going to chat.
I think United would be really, really stupid if we let Jackie lead the season. I mean, this is something that Atletico Madrid did last season with Alexandri. I think Man City wanted her last season as well, and they said, well, she has 1 year left on the contract. We're not going to sell her because if she helps us get into Champions League, that's 300,000 euros or something that we have. So unless a club comes and gives us at least that much, there's absolutely no point, no logic in transferring Jackie out to any team. And even if, let's say, we have the transfer fee, the problem is a lot of central midfielders throughout Europe are injured right now. So all the top clubs, they wouldn't want to have their second best midfielders, sent out as part of a transfer. So if we are going to get with Jackie, let's say there were rumors that there might be a swap deal. They're not going to give us good midfielders. They're going to give us maybe 2 midfielders who are neither of them are good enough as compared to Jackie. So I don't think, no matter what the transfer fee, United should not be looking at selling Jackie. I really think that she will not go this summer, at least next summer, who knows. With Wilder, I think it's just it's what I said, right? We don't rotate our midfield as much. If you have 3 players as part of your midfield and 2 of them are locked in, and you have 4 or 5 of them then competing for one place, then it becomes really difficult for, it could be any world-class midfielder and they're not really going to do well. We've seen that, with Wilder, people say that, she's not really good defensively, but that's not her job. That's not what she's been brought to do. She's a bit of an advanced midfielder. So we haven't seen her. I think when we have seen her, she doesn't seem like she's playing with confidence. So I think that, objectively, if you look at it, I don't think she's done enough to displace either Jackie or even Zellum to an extent defensively. But that probably is because she hasn't played enough and she isn't playing with confidence and she isn't played in the right position. So now with the national team coming up, I think she might want to leave, which is a really big blow because I was hoping that if Jackie leaves, Wilder will be there for the Day Club Power place. But, Now we have to look for 2 midfielders, 2 really good midfielders, and hope we can tie up Tuli to another contract. Hope she doesn't leave as well. So yeah, again, I think, and we probably discussed that when we're talking about Mark, but I think what Mark really does is that he has system in his mind. He thinks that this is how we want to play. And he's kind of fitting all these players, all these pieces, and like standing, playing, and writing. I just don't understand that. Uh, yeah, I would
Yeah.
really, I'd be really sad if either of them leaves, honestly.
No, this isn't the time for them to leave, I suppose. I mean, Rich, you work at a club. Someone said before, too late to sell players. I totally agree. But then for me, look at the players. They probably, Jackie, I know she wants to play Champions League. She'll be, 2 seasons on the bounce. They've messed up. Yeah, she's part of being messed up. But, Marty, Jackie's been constantly undervalued. We're talking about Builder not even getting a chance, and then when she does well, and then thrown out last minute, and then now with this Pegarisa stuff, she's going to be looking at her future. That, like what Nam says, there's 2 good midfielders who probably want to leave, and then it comes back to this point. Mark Skinner, your man, your boy, and he says, "Oh, it's not his players," and I feel like he uses that excuse with Vilda. But I feel like if you're a good manager, you can get the best out of every players. I feel like we saw with Serena Wiegman. She come in, she changed that team. They won the Euros. I'm even looking at with Erik ten Hag. He's come in. He's had a captain. He's got Ronaldo. He said, "You're both dropped, and I'm going to play a 5'9", and everyone's saying he's shit." And then they beat Liverpool. So for me, how can you say you're a good coach if you can't get the best out of good quality players? In my opinion, you should be able to work with any team if you're a top quality coach.
I don't think it's so much whether or not they're players or not, because none of the players were Mark Skinner's last season. That's the reality, and obviously they still got some good performances, whether that was individual or as a team, out of the players. That's the reality. I think more of the time it's not so much about getting the best out of them. I mean, obviously that's the job. You're not just going to discard your entire squad, but it's sometimes those players just don't suit your system for one reason or another, or suit your style. And I don't know if that's the situation with Jackie or with Vilda, but Vilda was obviously signed very late. I think she was probably one of the last bits of business United did before Casey left, and that's difficult. Then obviously suddenly the big problem with that was they went from one very specific style of football to a different one completely. They didn't go for someone that was like Casey. Mark's style is very specific, and it's very different to Casey's style. So that was always going to take a little bit of time, and it did. We saw that at the start of last season. It didn't click. I don't think the players fully bought into it. I think they did towards the end. You started to see performances that maybe not even across 90 minutes fully, maybe in some of the lesser games, but like we said earlier, Chelsea, particularly on the last day, that first 45 minutes was probably some of the best United had played under Mark in a big game. I mean, in terms of Vilda, yeah, I mean, I saw Hager's comments this morning. They're interesting, but given her opinion on Beth Mead, I don't listen too much. She will want, selfishly the best for Vilda, obviously, and that's for Vilda to be playing. So maybe she's putting pressure on. I don't know. It's an interesting one, and see what she does. I think, yeah, I mean, the transfer window ends 2 weeks tomorrow, I think it is. So it is late. It is late unless you've got something lined up. And, like Mia said, there's not really a pressure to sell, because what are you going to get? Maybe 100,000, something like that. What's 100,000 to a Manchester United? It's nothing. So unless a player really pushes to go, and it's the same with Kira at Man City, what's 200,000 going to do for Manchester City? So I think unless players now really come and push, or they get an offer that they cannot refuse for someone like a Jackie that's only got a year left on a contract, then I don't think we'll see anything. Personally, I don't think anything major will happen, but it's football and things can change quickly. But yeah, I mean, United are under no pressure to sell, and it's on the management, like you say, to work it out. If they don't want Jackie, or Jackie doesn't work for them, or Vilda doesn't work for them, then maybe they will sell them. But I think unless you're going to get a replacement in, it's pointless at this stage.
And there's a lot of people now in the comments, this, that, Mark, that. I don't even want to talk about Mark, not bothered. I've seen comments before where he's like, oh, this is how I want my team to play. And I think fans don't care anymore. They don't care how you want to play, what style, what possession. No one cares. We just want to win. So I've seen this comment before, Sporty Chat Box. Do you believe, because that's what it's about, and you, Mia, that we're going to finish top 3? Because that's what we want. That's all. In a way, I don't know, Nam, do you want to win a trophy more, or do you want to finish top 3?
I think if we win a trophy, we'll get the kind of mentality that we can qualify for Champions League anyway.
For me, I think Champions League is everything. And I know that might be putting a lot on it, but it is everything, because I feel like players will stay if they have Champions League. I feel like we'll get better players in. I feel like there'll be more investment. I said this when we played City in that game at the, behind closed doors, and they lost 3-0, and Press and Heath, and it was City can go up and we can go down, or we can go up and City can go down, and this is going to be, that game was like the basis of our next 5 years of existence, sort of. And I just feel like this season is going to be the basis. If we finish 4th again, it's 3 world-class players out the door. Maybe Vilda goes as well. Who are you going to get in? You're not going to get the top-class players in. So I'm going to come to you, Rich, because you love the Mark the most. Can Mark Skinner talk less and bring us the trophy? I know 3rd place isn't a trophy, but this is what we need, mate. This is what we need.
I think a trophy is possible. It's hard because you're competing against 3 very good teams, and realistically, you look at the trophies, they always go to Manchester City, Chelsea, or Arsenal, because they're piling resources into it. And I said at the start, I like what United have done, and I do, and I like Mark as a coach, I like Martin as a coach, but the reality also is, for me, on paper, and football's not played on paper, obviously, but United have the 4th best squad in the WSL. So if they finish 4th, it's not going to be a huge surprise. The issue for me is, and I've said this before, it comes down to how much you back it. Yeah, your manager's got to get results. Your manager's got to prove that he can do it, and he can get the players playing his style of football. But Chelsea have won everything, apart from the Champions League, but they've been in a final. They've won 3 titles in a row. They've won all the cups, and they're still ploughing money into it. They've just spent, God knows whatever it was on JRK from Sweden. She had quite a large release fee in her contract. They've gone out and signed one of the best centre-backs in the world, in Khadija Buchanan. There's rumours they're trying to, spend up to £500,000 on Grace Gayoro. I mean, £500,000 is unheard of in women's football. Arsenal have just gone and spent massive money on Lena Hurtig. Manchester City have spent a lot of money, on big wages to get established international players into their team. That's what Manchester United need to do. Champions League football is important, don't get me wrong, and if you get top 3, you're going to start to have a bit more pull. But the reality is, for a club of Manchester United's size and the name and the brand, if you throw enough money at players, they will come to Manchester United because it's Manchester United. They're not throwing as much money at it as the top 3 are.
Can I tell you though, Rich? This is where I disagree with you. They've just spent, how much was it on Grace Clinton? 30 grand. Grace Clinton's a good player, but would you be spending that 30 grand there? 30 grand on Nikita Paris. So that's, if you add that two together, 60 grand. Let's talk about it. Nikita's probably on close to 100, maybe more grand. I don't know what Grace and all that's on. You look at Katie Zellum to sign a new contract, probably, you know, over 100 grand. Marriott's probably sign a new contract similar to that. What Stanley signed. So we're sitting here going this and that. I mean, how much did they pay Rachel Williams? Probably close to 80, 60, 80 grand for Rachel Williams, though. And this is what I'm saying. This is what Namrata said before. You're saying, oh, they need to spend money and this and that. They spent 60 grand on Grace Clinton. I mean, not Grace Clinton, on Maya Letizia. Good signing. Beat Chelsea. Beat City. So the money is there. They spent money now. Casey didn't get that money, you know. So we're sitting here saying, Mark. But he's just spent 30 grand and 100 grand wages on Nikita Paris. And that thing he didn't want her. Arsenal chucked her out in the bin.
The other clubs are spending wages as well. The other clubs are putting players.
Yeah, well then, you know, we're talking about Lena Hurtig. Why are we going for Lena Hurtig? And I don't know, Mia might know different, but for me, I'd be going for her over Nikita Paris any day, all day, every day.
But she would cost a lot more than Nikita Paris, trust me.
Well, you don't sign Grace
They
Clinton.
don't play. They don't play on the same side. They could play well together. They could play well together, but you have Leah Galton at the left wing. So,
well, Tim Stillman has said that's.
Again, what has Tim Stillman said?
That Lena Hurtig is the replacement for Nikita Paris.
No, he hasn't said that.
He did. He tweeted it out.
Yeah, but the fact is that you can. The fact is that Nikita Paris is a right winger and Lena Hurtig is a left winger.
You can still play. You can do this, move it about. You know, for me.
Yeah, but she doesn't want to play on the right wing. And that's why Arsenal got her, because Jonas Eidevall has talked to her about the fact that he has promised her that she will play like on the left wing. Or
so they're going to drop Steph Catley then. They're going to drop Beth Mead.
No, Beth Mead can play on the right.
I don't know. So about Steph Catley. You see, this it's not. I don't want to go into that debate. I just want to. We're talking about money, and we talked before about the way they spent the money. And I just think the money on Paris was not, you know, could have been better spent. So we're saying mark this, but
we don't know that yet.
We don't, but we can guess.
Yeah, we can guess. But the fact is that also Jonas Eidevall and with Arsenal, I must say that he has done some mistakes this window, because he has targeted players that he has coached in Rosengård in Sweden. And obviously, if it's the fact now that Jelena Sankovic will sign for Chelsea, then he has targeted two players that he has coached in Rosengård that obviously doesn't, they don't want to play for him again. I can tell you that. So this is the fact that he signs players that are very similar to each other. Steph Catley, Lena Hurtig, the same type of players, because it's the football he wants to play.
For me, yes, we don't spend as much as Chelsea, but for me, we spend just as much as City this window. And to say this and that, oh, Mark's not been backed, I think that's an excuse. No, I think he has been backed more than any other window. So for me to say, oh, well, he's not been back, so he's, you know, if he gets top four again, it's okay. These are excuses. And I feel like in women's football, we can't say these things because people will say, oh, this and that. But you've paid a lot of money, yeah, and he's got the players that he wants now. So it's top three or bust for Mark, in my opinion. I think he gets sacked if he doesn't get top three. Nam, what do you think?
I don't think I don't think that he's not been backed. I think he's not been backed as much as a club like Manchester United could do, realistically. I think United could do whatever they want. And in a way, they're paying the price for the fact that they didn't do it earlier, because obviously Chelsea and Arsenal were always there. But when City came into it, they didn't put a huge amount in at first. They weren't signing international superstars. They were very English-based, you know. They went big sort of to get those first 4 established players in Steph, Jill Scott, Tony Duggan, Karen Bardsley. But after that, it was, you know, they just built slowly. But the competition wasn't there back then. They won the league in their 3rd season because it was really, Arsenal weren't really there under Pedro Losa. It was them and Chelsea were still nowhere near what they are now. If Manchester United had come back into it in 2014, they'd be in such a better position. They'd be right in that established top 3, top 4, but challenging and probably having won trophies. They came into it late. They're still playing catch-up. Yeah, you can't say they're playing catch-up forever. That only lasts for so long, of course. But the reality is they still are, because they're behind 3 teams that have been doing this for at least, well, City for 8 years, the other 2 for a hell of a long time. Arsenal have been doing it for decades. So you need to put more in. If you don't put more in, you are not going to catch what's ahead of you. That's the reality at the end of the day. Doesn't matter who your coach is. You know, I think all 4 of those top 4 coaches have got their strengths and weaknesses. I don't think any of them are flawless. I think Gareth Taylor has his flaws. I think Yadav has his flaws. I think Emma Hayes has his flaws. I think Mark has his flaws. But, you know, if you're going to come into it late and you're going to see those 3 teams, you're going to see Chelsea, you're going to see Arsenal, you're going to see Man City with some of the best players in the world. And they all do, you know, some of them maybe not quite as Man City anymore, but, you know, Arsenal have got some of the best players. Chelsea have got some of the best players, and they've gone out and recruited some of the best players in the world again this summer. You're not going to catch them. You're not going to catch, you know, you're saying Grace Clinton 30,000. Yeah. But what else is 30,000 going to get you? Yeah, okay, you could compile it all together and buy one big player, but would you rather have one big player, or would you rather strengthen the squad in 6, 7 areas? If you're having to split whatever you have up and say, okay, we put 30,000 here, we put 40,000 there, 30,000 is only going to get you a certain amount of player. It's not going to get you a Khadijah Buchanan. It's not going to get you a Leia Alexandri or a Dana Castellanos or a Lena Hurtig. It's not. So you have to buy. You have to look at your budget and go, okay, what can we get that we want with what we have, and what they want and what they can get isn't as much as what the others can get. And that's a reality. Until United push the boat out more and realise their budget isn't as big as the others, I don't even think their budget's as big as Tottenham's. You're going to be where you are now.
Spend any money. The only thing I will go on now, and I've got a point on someone. Go on.
We've spent about 30 grand on Grace Clinton. We've spent 30 grand on Nikita Paris. As of last season, that gets us 1 goal. If we spend 60k on a better player who is like a guaranteed 5-6 goal player, I mean, I would sign that 1 player rather than 2 players. And I mean, for me, you know, Chelsea's transfer window has been the best, not because of just the quality of players that they've brought in and how much money they've spent, but because Emma Hayes and Chelsea were not scared to make a signing in the position where they already have world-class players. They signed Buchanan, who is, I mean, they have an amazing defense already. They've gone on and signed Buchanan. Maybe Magda Eriksson might leave next season. They're already preparing for that. But, you know, the competition is there. I think when it comes to United, and this is the fans as well I'm talking about, we have this thing where we don't want to get quality in the same position. So if we want to sign a really world-class striker, even the fan base goes, oh, but what's going to happen to Russo? If we're going to sign a good midfielder, well, what's going to happen to Jackie? What's going to happen to Lad? What's going to happen to Tony? I think that, and this is the same thing that I kind of see with the coaching staff as well. You know, I mean, I just think that we have gone for quantity over quality this transfer window. And I'm not saying that instead of signing 7 players, we should have signed 1 player or 2 players, but we could have got like 4 good players rather than spending 7 players. Like, let's be honest, we spent 60K or close to 60K on Grace, and I really like Grace Kempton and Nikita Paris, but they combined scored 1 goal in the league last season. So if Russo gets injured, where are the goals going to come from? We haven't solved the problems yet, and Russo will probably get injured because she's been injured in every season. Leah is injury prone. She is a confidence player. She doesn't start off well. If Tooney loses her form, we've lost like 70% of our team goals. And for me, midfield is obviously a problem, but for me, the forward line is as well. Because even though we have a lot of forwards now, we don't have the goals in the squad. Yeah.
For me, I would have kept Brunny. Even though she didn't score, I would have kept Brunny. That's where the money would have gone if we could do anything. Don't know how much they wanted. I know she's on quite big wages, probably.
But it's the same thing, right? When she was here, everyone's like, why are we spending so much money to get her when we already have Russo? Two players in the same position, it doesn't make sense. But all the top 3 teams, and I'm not just talking about, the top 3 teams in England, but all over Europe, they have really good players in 4 positions. So they will have at least 2 good players in the same position. While we, as fan base, also feel kind of threatened if we sign a lot of good players.
No, I agree, man. I agree. We have these kind of arguments, and not arguments, but debates, and it's, we're Brun, this and that, and that. For me, I would have signed Brunny. I think she would have stayed. I don't know what her thing is. Look at, she's at Leon now. They're probably happy they kept her because Kat is injured, but a player that I know of that I don't know how hard they went for her, but Rachel Daly, I think a lot of it is to do with Villa probably being number 1 and being a striker, but that would have been a good player, maybe, So, I mean, I don't think they would have not got who they got. They might not have got Paris, but then Dash probably wanted more than 6. So the money is there if they want it. That's what I think. And it's what Emma told me, if the top signings come available, the money is there. So is Paris a top signing, or is Paris just because we couldn't get one of it? I don't know. Only God knows. But yeah, people press the like button. Let us know what you think. I'm seeing someone here, Sporty Chat Box, and I get where he's coming from, and I get these opinions. Don't know if it's come up. Yeah, the season hasn't started yet. Wait and see what happens. And I get it. The season hasn't started yet. Yeah, let's wait and see what happens. Yeah, let's give everyone a chance. And everyone is getting a chance. But I think as well, for me, it's hit or it's do or die. It's everything. It's everything. It's my life on the line, Sporty. Yeah, and that's how it feels. And maybe I love it too much, Sporty, but that's how it feels. It feels like, everything is on the line for this season. This is the biggest season. It's always the biggest season, but it's on the line. And, we're looking at the 3 players that we love. We want them to stay. We want Leslie to stay. And apparently they lowballed her. And they admitted they lowballed her. So it's like, why are you lowballing Leslie for? It doesn't make sense. But I don't know. Mia, go. Where do you think we're going to finish next season?
I think you have a good chance for top 3, and I think that it's going to be Manchester City or Manchester United.
Rich?
I think it's a hard question, but
why I brought you on?
I think you'll be 4th.
You think it'll be what?
I think you'll be 4th.
Failure again. Namrata?
I think there's no point being negative at start of the season, so I think we'll be 2nd.
Let's go. Right, you know where to find Rich. Rich, tell people if they want to send you abuse. No, you're joking. But no.
I get enough of that as it is, so I think everyone knows where I am by now.
Yeah. Mia, their pitch. Big it up. Tell people.
Yeah, listen to my podcast and Amanda's. podcast, their pitch. I'll be very happy if you do.
And Nam, where can the Reds find you to chat? Or, well, they've heard what you like chatting about, but where can they find you to chat?
Yeah, my Twitter handle is Namrata_YDV.
Guys, get in the comments after. Tell us what you think. Do you agree with Rich? Failure again? Or do you think, like Nam, we're going to be flying high? You know, people are saying Rich is brave now. But you've got to keep, let's see. Listen, yeah, I don't know. We'll be second. Cheers, guys. Thank you. See you soon.